Gang, I'm a little bit depressed. Football, yeah, it's over, but the NBA, college basketball, the NHL, they're in full swing. Baseball's ramping up. The only place you should be betting on these sports is at betonline.ag. BetOnline, it even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. BetOnline has hundreds of props with real-time odds on almost anything you can imagine, and it's pretty fun. And of course, the 24-hour online casino. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Hey, gang, how are we doing? I am so happy you're here. Thank you very much for taking the time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you listening and following us on social media at all of our outlets. At Nick Hardwick, we are also at hardwick.life. We love your interaction, the feedback that you give through those outlets and through email. Now, here's something that I want from you. I want more of your feedback, actually. I want to give you guys exactly what you're here looking for. Topics you want covered, people you want interviewed, questions you want answered that will help you live a better, more fulfilling life. I'll reach out to the people and get the topics covered and the questions answered. So I want to do what I think a lot of times is often overlooked in the podcast game. I want you to tell me what you want. So seriously, email me directly. My email address is nick@nickhardwick.com. If you write me, I promise I will write you back. Thank you very much. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Hardwick.life. It's the home of the Lose Like a Lineman program. If you haven't heard of the Lose Like a Lineman program and are interested in losing weight, get your butt over to the website. We're at Hardwick.life. It's like Hardwick.com, but that domain name was already taken, so it's Hardwick.life, and it's kind of fitting. And if you don't know already, I designed the Lose Like a Lineman program for my personal weight loss journey 6 years ago, and it was the sole reason that I lost 85 pounds in 5 months. It went viral. There were features on Sports Illustrated, ESPN, LA Times, Business Insider, CBS Sports. I knew my transformation was special, but after countless emails asking for my secret and direct messages and giving it on these one-off occasions, I decided it was just time to package it up and give it to the world. So as of this year, the program officially went public, and it's helped hundreds of men lose weight every day, women too. And I'm not talking just a few pounds. We're talking real results here, people like John Zenser, who you heard a little while back on the podcast, lost 100 pounds in 7 months. Super inspiring. Or Josh E., who lost 30 pounds in the first 6 weeks. That's not uncommon, guys. Listen, this isn't a little vegan diet, no juice cleanses, no bunny food. I mean, although if you're vegan or keto or whatever, it accommodates those. We're talking just real food for real people. And if it could be assembled by a former offensive lineman knucklehead like me, I'm telling you, you can do it too. And on top of that, the workouts are realistic. They don't take more than 4 to 16 minutes every other day. There's no room for excuses. Not only that, but this program easily integrates into a very busy life from the comfort of your home. You can lose weight fast. No expensive gym memberships, no equipment needed. What the hell are you waiting for? That's right. You may be waiting for the right time. Let me be real with you. There is never a perfect time to do anything. You're always just one decision away from real results. And it's not like the program is hundreds of dollars either. For the price of a dinner for two, you can change your life forever. Now listen to this. I'll even motivate you a little bit more. For the next 24 hours, you can use the coupon code podcast20 to get the program for 20% off. That's podcast20 for 20% off. So what are you waiting for? Get over to hardwick.life and use the code podcast20, and we'll get you onto the show. Hey, gang, it's Nick. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day out there, wherever you're listening, however you're listening to us. We thank you so much. Joining us today on the Hardwick Life podcast is John Hartman. John is the CEO and CMO of a tech startup company, or should I say companies, that include SkillPower and AirFit. They are tech science products designed to increase the willpower of clients and help them make healthier choices. Their Northstar is using the best new proven university research on making health behavior change over the long haul. Isn't that what we're all really looking for? John has his master's degree in higher education and business from the Ohio State University. He has worked with more than 20 startups and has had 2 successful exits as a startup. He was named the iMedia Agency Marketer of the Year in 2016, and he was previously a manager at Accenture in New York City. The list of companies that he has worked for on their marketing include Oakley, Ray-Ban, Intuit, AARP, Skullcandy, L'Oreal, Lancome, and a whole host of others. You guys are going to love this conversation. It is laced with such helpful advice. Let's welcome on John Hartman. How you been? How's your health?
Everything's good. My health's good. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit in quarantine. So on my running days, we got this big 2 mile hill near our house. So I'm incorporating that in.
And, a 2 mile hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whew.
Well, I was supposed to run the Torrey Pines half marathon this year, which goes up at Torrey Pines Hill, which is like 2.5 miles. Got canceled, but it's been interesting because I find when I run up, that extent of a hill, stretching becomes more important.
Oh, God, yeah.
The day or two afterwards just feels different.
Yeah. Do you ever worry, like running up a hill like that? Do you ever worry about your Achilles or your hamstring or anything like that? I mean, we aren't as young as we once were, so it's
I don't. If I feel more than a little pain, I'll stop. Yeah, my number. I have two main goals with my fitness. One is to not stop, keep going, and the other is to not get injured.
Great goals.
Yeah, I don't care what the weight is or what my time is. I mean, I look at that stuff, but my priority is don't get injured.
Don't stop working out and don't get injured. For me, that's just fantastic advice. For anybody, really. And that's what I've kind of come to in my own fitness, because for me, for so long, it was go bang weights, run sprints, run hills.
Yeah, go nuts.
Do stupid things because I was doing a stupid job and I had to do stupid things to stay competitive in that. And then it's hard to shift into kind of, hey, this is life maintenance now. We're not in go conquer the world type programming any longer. It's like the last thing that hit me was I was coaching my 6-year-old's basketball team, and my kids were like, "Dad, can you dunk?" And I was like, "Well, I used to be able to. Let me see." And that 9 foot, yeah, 9'6", yeah, 10 foot, no. And so I put myself on this jumping program. I tell you, it's been 4 months. I feel like I broke my feet, just woke up with plantar fascia. They're hurting all the time. And now I'm finally on the tail end of that. And I was like, never again. You got to start making better lifelong decisions than going, I'm going to go for a cheap thrill and try to impress my kids and try to dunk. I'll just flat out next time go, no, I can't dunk any longer. And I'm good with it.
I really don't play basketball anymore. I played plenty growing up. But, as you get older, basketball is fun. I don't want to discourage anyone who loves it, but
it's fun.
As you get older, the possibility of injuries with basketball goes up.
Oh, no kidding. I know you think of all the guys that go to the gym that pop an Achilles or a patella tendon or something, those are catastrophic injuries. And then I just watching the NBA finals, I'm looking at LeBron, who's in his 18th year or something, and going, how does his body feel? I know he spends $1 million on it a year, but goodness gracious.
Yeah. Well, the deal. I mean, the minute he steps off the court, he's spending, he spends a couple hours a day, doing his workout or his game, and the rest of the day recovering. Right.
Yeah. I mean, they said he's sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night now.
There you go.
Trying to get it. And then you think $1 million a year, that's $3,000 a day that he's spending on maintenance.
Look at Tom Brady. He's mostly eating a vegan diet. A lot of people don't know this. And it's part of his recovery plan. It's part of his recovery.
He's off of the nightshades. I know he incorporates some protein in there, but
he does a bit of protein, but he's super healthy.
Yeah, he's really into the anti-inflammatory properties, and
yeah,
I guess that keeps him looking good, along with whatever else he's putting into his face and hair. Yeah, that's the one disclaimer you want to tell people. It's like, he's got Botox and filler or whatever.
Well, he's borrowing Giselle's, anti-aging stuff. Because she gets like top quality stuff.
Oh, she does. Yeah, she's got that program dialed in. All right, John, last time we met, we were talking about SkillPower. I've kind of introduced our folks to SkillPower and everything, but you hit me with some alarming numbers. 60% of adults are overweight, 40% are obese, 1 in 3 are now pre-diabetic, and many health and wellness companies lose 50% of new customers within 6 months of coming on board. What's going on here? Like, we're all talking about health and wellness, yet nobody can stick with the program.
Yeah. And that's what SkillPower is all about. What you and I have been talking about for a while now. Last year I had just finished selling my prior company and moving on. And I was really focused on my own health, as people do. But I also got into all the academic literature about everything. I just had some time to geek out on what works and what doesn't. And I mean everything from like what nutrition program to what wearable to what app to what diet. I studied it all. And the interesting thing is everybody is, in response to your question, kind of arguing about like what's better, keto or intermittent fasting or Whole30 or high intensity interval, or, I don't mean just like nutrition or weight loss, like strength, running a race, whatever it is.
Everything's got its own dogmatic tribe that kind of follows it.
Yeah, but if you look at it, everybody's arguing about what's better. But when you step back, what you find is that like it doesn't matter which program you picked. 80 to 90% of people won't be doing it in 6 months, right?
80 to 90%.
Dude, the majority of diets, weight loss diets, are abandoned within about 14 days.
No kidding.
I mean, that's just you look at the stats, it's amazing. So people actually track this. New Year's resolutions. The majority of people who make a New Year's resolution have quit by January 15th. This is the data. These aren't my opinions. Yeah. So that's where SkillPower comes in the sense of, we're a health and wellness company that is looking at all the plans. I mean, I have an opinion about high intensity interval versus aerobic versus, everything. Like I got opinions on carbs and good carbs and everything. But really what I'm passionate about is how can we help people figure out a routine for them that they will still be doing a year from now? Like, let's address that question first. Yeah. Then we'll come back to everything else. And so we just kind of, we flipped everything on its head. And the primary insight about SkillPower, per the name, is that willpower in and of itself, or the way that we currently think of it, doesn't work. It doesn't get people through to stick with their plan for 12 months. People, the good news is there is a way to get a leg up. And that is to kind of change our attitude to understand we've got to build new skills. Whatever it is, I want to run my first 10K. I just want to eat more healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to sleep better. I want to have less anxiety. The first step that SkillPower says is, great, let's do this. But you need a plan that's better than I'm just going to try hard. Right. You need a plan that says, I got to learn some new things.
Yeah.
Some of it's going to work and some of it's not going to work because we're all different. And I need to sort through and figure out what's going to work for me and build those skills.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant take, flipping it on its head, as you said. And most strength coaches, most physical trainers, most nutritionists, most dietitians, whatever, they will tell you the best program is the one that you're going to stick to.
Exactly.
And so you're talking about people want to argue over semantics. Well, how do I lose the weight? Going over the fine details when they don't have the skills necessary to even stick to the plan that they're putting themselves on, or somebody has put them on. And it's a shame. And this is just kind of in general how we view things is, and I've heard people say, well, you're lucky because you have great willpower. And we've treated it like you're born with it or you don't have it at all. And you can't stick to the plan because I wasn't given a talent by God.
Right.
When you're saying it's not effort, it's not that they don't want to, people that can't stick with things. I mean, I've got things in my own life I haven't stuck with, like playing a banjo or learning a foreign language. Like, we've all got skills that we want to stick to that we've dropped along the way. And it's not effort, it's not want to, it's not desire, it's not that you don't care as much. And I think it's easy for coaches or trainers or nutritionists or doctors to go, well, like, put it on the client, go, yeah, they didn't care enough. But you're saying that willpower is actually a skill, and it's not about trying hard. It's a skill that can be developed and honed.
Yeah, absolutely. And a part of that skill is learning, right? Learning about nutrition, about physiology, about brain chemistry. Like, okay, everybody's talking about serotonin and cortisol and dopamine. What are those things and how could they impact me? Because everybody is, it's kind of a confusing message in the sense that we are all different, right? So what works for you might not work for me.
Yes, bio-individuality.
Yeah, it's very individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing. And the reality is we are born with different things, and not to, immediately geek out, but like, even when you get into our brains and the little, pieces of the brain that spit out the dopamine or the serotonin, those are a little bit different with different people. Some spit out, like when you look at, this is an easy example. When you look at like a Shaun White, and then you look at somebody who's afraid to get on a roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
They do have some differences in their brains.
That's right.
We don't have to go too far down that bunny hole, but
no,
they
but
do.
That is true.
But but one's not better than the other. It's all about just understanding, how does mine work? Like, how does my brain work in this situation? How do I react? And how can I use that to my advantage? Because one of the other big pieces of connecting the dots of what you mentioned with SkillPower is the thing where my heart goes out and a lot of empathy goes out is people, for whatever reason, who maybe haven't had a lot of success with health and wellness, growing up and through their life, and maybe just don't have a huge amount of confidence when they take on a health and wellness goal, and they probably maybe have, quite frankly, some unrealistic expectations or just don't have all the knowledge that they need. They end up quitting after 2-3 weeks or failing. And what do? They blame themselves, right? And they say, I suck. I'm flawed. Like, I can't do this. And that's where my heart goes out, because that's not true. It's just, tapping into one of the pieces here of like a growth mindset. You just haven't figured it out yet. You don't have the skills, you don't have the knowledge to figure out what works for you. So don't blame yourself. Blame either the program or just have an open mind that you just haven't figured it out yet. And this is an iterative process. Because when we blame ourselves, now we step a foot into some mental health stuff of like, okay, now maybe I have a little bit of a low grade depression because I tried to run a marathon and I gave up after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, well, that maybe was an unrealistic goal, and learning about myself, well, actually, I'm the type of person that needs a running buddy or I'm not going to be successful, which is a simple insight, to kind of get.
Right.
And just learn those skills so that you can be more successful and not, have that kind of bummer attitude where you blame yourself.
Yeah. And immediately going down that negative rabbit hole, it's a super dangerous place to be, because then you won't even attempt to try again. Yeah. Every failure is not a failure of the system that you've built or the knowledge that you've acquired. It's a failure of you and your ego and self. And
the routine, kind of the overall routine that you were following wasn't the right fit for you. Yes. Right. And you didn't, and you haven't yet learned a few of the things that you need to learn to keep yourself on a program over the long term. So that's what we're all about. We're about building skills. Now, where it gets a little complicated is that so much of the research, and I know you geek out on this research as well, especially in the last 5 years, that, the good news is that the scientists and the researchers at universities have learned so much in the last 5 years about what impacts whether people stay on their health and wellness goals over the long term or quit. The easy example that a lot of people are talking about is sleep, is the simple aspect of sleep, which you mentioned earlier with LeBron. Yeah. America, we all grew up with like work hard, play hard, and the harder you work, the better you are. The less you sleep, the better you are.
Early bird gets the worm.
Yeah. What we now know is lack of sleep completely and totally undermines performance. of all kinds. And what's really fascinating is some research on weight loss, which has come out recently, which basically shows that if people are getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night, but are trying to lose weight on whatever plan you pick, your chances are significantly diminished because of your sleep. And then what happens is after 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, people quit either because they're not losing the weight, or it's just too hard, or they just crack, and they're just like, I'm going to gobble up that ice cream, but they don't know why. And there could be 8 different reasons why. One of them could be sleep. One of them could be they have too much stress and cortisol in their life. There's a whole range of reasons why, and we're starting to really understand why. And there are things that people can control in their lives.
When we're talking about sleep and failing on diets, is it hormonal issues? Is it emotions that end up, or is it just simply fatigue that leads them to sugary, salt, fat, kind of those things to stimulate the brain again to stay awake? What's going on with that?
Yeah, it can be a variety of things, but the number one and one of the core insights from SkillPower is all around the prefrontal cortex in our brain, that front part of our brain that people kind of know the term. Some people have heard the term executive functioning part of our brain, yes, which basically is the part of our brain that is it's like the responsible adult in our head. If you will. The executive functioning part, or the prefrontal cortex, is that part that says, I should eat 2 veggies every day, and I should be a good, responsible person, and I should show up for work every day. Like, it's the good part of your brain, if you will. Now, what happens is, the problem with the prefrontal cortex is it's very powerful, but it's very fragile, right? It can actually kind of shut down. I mean, our brains are operated by those electrical impulses that are all shooting around our brain. And the prefrontal cortex can get diminished through the course of the day. One of the primary ways it gets diminished is not enough sleep. So if it has not had the time to recharge fully like a battery while you're sleeping, it will be diminished in the following day. And so as we go through our day and we are barraged with questions, advertisements, peer pressure, environmental things of like, hey, do you want fries with that? Do you want an extra large of that? Do you want some shots in your Starbucks? All those things. The prefrontal cortex is what's in charge of saying no, no, yes, no, yes, no. When it's compromised, it doesn't do that job, and our decision making goes back to the amygdala, which one of the great illustrations of this is the prefrontal cortex is like Spock from Star Trek being in charge of our. The amygdala is like Homer Simpson has now taken. And it's one of the primary insights, again, from SkillPower, is people understanding that our brain has those different quadrants, and it passes. Think of like a baton, and whoever's holding the baton gets to make decisions. Our brain is passing that baton around to different parts of itself, but we don't notice. It's a seamless transition. So for some parts of the day, our prefrontal cortex, Spock, is in charge of decisions. I'm going to have, egg whites and spinach and whole wheat toast for breakfast. But later in the day, for various reasons, Homer Simpson may have taken over, and it's time for pizza and, a chocolate milkshake for lunch.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of physiological, psychological, behavioral reasons why that baton gets passed around in the brain.
When we met in San Diego, we were out at a restaurant, and one of the most interesting parts of the conversation that stuck with me was when we first got in there and we were kind of looking at the menu and taking it all in. And I forget how many micro decisions you said were being made in the moment, just simply at a restaurant trying to decide what we were going to eat. Yeah. And what that does, and all those little decisions throughout the day, how they factor into reducing an individual's willpower when it comes to the end of the night, when a lot of times poor decisions are made. Give me that number again. As we were kind of standing there looking at the menu, it was staggering to me.
Yeah. So what the research shows is if you ask people the simple question, what do you think? How many decisions related to food, in your health and nutrition do you make a day? The average person, when they do this, is like a market research, they say about 20 to 30 decisions. The real research shows that we all make over 200 decisions a day having to do with food and nutrition and what we put in our bodies.
No kidding.
The kicker is The majority of those decisions are either micro decisions that are made in less than a second, or they are largely subconscious decisions that, our brain is just rattling through. So to your point, walk into a Starbucks, coffee shop, walk into a restaurant. And I mean, I can give you the example because, for example, you and I were together. All right, what do I want to eat? Do I want, the small or the large? What do I want to drink? Do I want to drink with calories or not? Am I going to have a water? Am I going to have a soda? What's that smell? That smells good. What's the person in front of me having? Do I want that? What's Nick having? Why is Nick having that? Has he been here before? Should I eat that? What did I eat this morning? What am I going to eat for dinner tonight? Does this fit into what I'm eating? We are actually rattling through all of those decisions in that literally 30 seconds of a restaurant of what do I want to eat? Now, what happens is, again, when we think about the prefrontal cortex as a battery, and it does deplete during the day, and this research has been shown over and over and over, we really run out of decision-making energy as the day goes by, right? And again, and when that happens, Homer Simpson takes over the brain. And so this is where we come in first, the awareness and the insight that this is happening, that all these decisions are getting made, and I'm kind of aware of those decisions getting made, but they're getting made so quickly through our brain that's so powerful that a lot of them are actually getting made in ways that that I wasn't aware of. And it gets back to SkillPower's kind of core use case or scenario, which is just take a person, you or me or someone we know, who's a competent adult with a job, family, kids, and they say on Sunday, I'm going to eat a healthy lunch every day this week. That seems like a simple task. It turns out to be much more difficult than people think. How many people have let's simplify it. How many people have promised to have 6 glasses of water or 8 glasses of water a day?
And that's the easiest thing to do.
Of people will fail at doing that task for 30 days.
Oh,
so once you accept that, you're like, okay, what's going on here? You start to unpack.
Yeah, it is crazy. I heard a little anecdote. Barack Obama had somebody else pick out a suit and tie and shirt combination every day.
You are right. And people used to make fun of him for it, but it was very strategic. He knows, and the science says, we diminish our decision-making ability through the course of the day. And so he basically said, I don't want to be making any decisions that aren't like important presidential decisions. Who cares what my color socks are, right? So someone else can pick, make that decision for me because I got to decide what to do about, this issue or that issue.
How many great decisions can we make in a day? Is there science on that?
There's not a number because the decisions are of different kind of magnitude, right? Complex decisions that we really. So it's not so much a number, but what I like to do is to turn this into, it's like awareness. Okay, now I've learned something new about how I work and how the brain works and everything, right? So now how do I turn that into action? So I'll give you an example of what we've been talking about going into a coffee shop or a restaurant for somebody who's trying to be more healthy and turning that into a skill. And making what I call, it's connecting all these dots, a permanent decision, which means in this scenario, I'm always going to do X. So then when I'm in that scenario, I don't have to decide. I'll give you an example. Because I go to coffee shops to Starbucks a lot. It's the same thing. I got no plan. I walk in and it's a free for all in terms of what I'm going to get.
You could choose anything.
Yeah. And that's not aligned with my overall goals. So I made a decision 2 years ago that if I'm going in a coffee shop, I'm going to have a black coffee, not going to get any, no lattes, no shots, no, triple decker or whatever. I'm going to get a black coffee and and if I get something to eat, it's going to primarily be a protein. I just made that decision. I said, that's a permanent decision. Every time I go into a coffee shop, black coffee, if I eat something, it's going to be a Greek yogurt. It could be chocolate covered almonds. If I got that sweet tooth, chocolate covered almonds are my friend, right? There's a variety of other things that a lot of places that have the hard boiled egg and the grapes and the cheese and what have you.
Right.
So I made a permanent decision. And that's, similar. People can do something else really, one of the things that can really change your health, permanent decision. Some things are harder than others. I'm not going to drink soda anymore. I'm going to continue to eat pizza and desserts and other things, but I'm going to not drink soda anymore. That will move the needle on somebody's health.
That's right. And I think that's just brilliant, is turning decisions into permanent decisions based on situation. So I like to look at things like a decision-making corridor. Like if
That's
you
right.
tighten down that corridor, the chances of messing up or getting off track are
Yep.
really slim. And I've kind of likened my health and fitness current state to Steve Jobs in the black turtleneck. Like I know what I'm doing every day when I wake up. It's not complicated. I don't have to
Yeah.
write a super prescription for myself and write a new program every single day coming in. It's not, I know what I'm doing. And this is happening whether I feel good or not in the morning, because I know when I'm done with it, I'm going to feel good after I'm done with it. So it's very simple. I've got 3 breakfasts that I choose from. I got about 3 lunches that I choose from, and I got about 3 dinners that I choose from. Well, basically every dinner is a salad with a lean protein, and that's kind of it, right?
And
So it's like
that's a
I've
perfect,
tightened it down.
and that's a perfect example, Nick, in my mind of, there are some people, like, let's blow that out. Exactly what you said. There are some people who've had success with their health and nutrition by saying, I'm actually going to have the exact same thing for dinner every
Yes.
night. Tim Ferriss famously did this for months.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to eat the same 3 meals every day for like 6 months. And he did. And he transformed his body. But look, being realistic is one of our guiding principles. That's not a good fit for everybody, right? So find not a good fit for everybody else. For you, you need a little bit of variety, but you don't need unlimited, right? So you're like, look, I'm going to choose between these 3 options. And me personally, with my style, that's like a really nice fit, right? Other people, maybe the big foodie or whatever, they're like, that's not gonna work for me. But there's other, guidelines and rules for them. I'll tell you one of my other favorite kind of healthy eating or weight loss simple rules. Here's your plate. On half of the plate, put healthy stuff, salad or veggies. Just put it on there. The other half of the plate, put whatever you want.
There you go.
And if you get seconds, which you can under this kind of flexible rule, you got to do the same thing.
I like
salad and veggies, and the other half you put whatever you want.
Yeah, and then you're getting all that good fiber, and you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, that one strategy actually does like 10 things. You mentioned it. You're getting some fiber in there, which helps satiation. Gets you in there. Gets all sorts of different nutrients. It helps monitor your blood sugar and your glucose. By doing that, it also helps you feel a little bit satisfied. Like, I'm a winner because I like ribs. Not me personally, but like, if that's your thing.
Of course, yeah.
And the other thing, I'll pull another vector in here. A lot of people say like, hey, you should follow this diet or that diet, and it completely ignores maybe somebody's cultural heritage, that whatever culture they come from, they eat X almost every other day. Well, the research shows, go to somebody who's, I don't want to point out a particular, culture, I'll say a culture that eats a lot of X, to tell them to eat a diet that doesn't include that has a huge failure rate.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, let's get creative.
They're going to be surrounded by it. And it's part of what inherently makes them feel good.
Yeah. And they're going to be family situations and all that. Yeah. So it's, we're going through this huge process of just the way that public health used to be was, okay, we figured out this kind of plan. We think it works. It's like you take the low fat thing, which we now know like wasn't even really right 20 years ago. But even when you look at it, they said, okay, we think that eating a low fat diet's good. So everybody do it. Everybody. Yeah. Right. We're on the, thank God we're on the other side of that, which is everybody's an individual, and what works for you isn't going to work for me. And people need to figure out what they're doing. But here's the hard part. We've switched that mentality to more of a personalized thing, but people just don't have the tools to sort through that process, in an informed way, not getting your information from TikTok and YouTube, because there's good content on there. Don't get me wrong.
Good content. That's right.
You can't discern it from the bad content, right? So get some real content of what works for you, trial and error, and figuring out. That's what SkillPower is looking to do, is to help guide people through that process of iterating through all these different strategies to get the ones that work for them that will still be in place in 12 months.
Hey guys, I want to give a brief moment to talk about our newest sponsor, eBay. Whether rear dead stock or the latest release, you can find the exact shoe you're looking for. You can find anything you're looking for at eBay, really. I find all of my technical equipment there for the podcast, a lot of workout equipment. But as the original sneaker marketplace, eBay is the place to go to cop the pair you've been eyeing. With eBay's authenticity guarantee, your sneakers are meticulously inspected by the independent professional authenticators. A team of experienced sneaker authenticators verify the box, logo, stitching, and dozens of other inspection points. Each sneaker also receives an authenticity guarantee tag that includes a digital stamp of authenticity, and it protects sellers with a verified return process. And for sneaker sellers out there, if you're a seller, eBay has eliminated selling fees on sneakers $100 and up, making it free to sell or flip your collection. Go to ebay.com/sneakers today. eBay, the world's best destination for discovering great value and unique selection. That's eBay.
I mean, we're talking about a ton of changes, right? So we're talking about you're getting to, with SkillPower, the core of something that could drastically affect their life for the long term, because it's giving them the stickiness for any path that they choose. It's almost like start out here before you do anything else. Even maybe before you choose what path you're going to be on, or while you're in the middle of a path, you still need to be working on these skills. What are all the facets of SkillPower that an individual could, if they do the program and if it's sticky for them, what do they get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So fundamentally, the prize, if you will, is like when all the health and wellness apps really started ramping up, whenever that was, 5-6 years ago. I'll answer your question in a quick story. One of the things that Silicon Valley started popping out is that people would read a behavior change book like Nudge or The Power of Habit or something like that. Whoa, that's mind blowing. I'm going to make an app that does that and save the world. And all those companies just completely crashed and burned. But this notion of like, how do I build a new habit is an interesting one. Now, the first tech that came out of there were the habit trackers. Remember the habit trackers and reminders. I'm going to solve all the world's problems by sending you a push notification telling you to eat some broccoli and drink a glass of water.
Yep.
Problem solved. Did that work? Absolutely not. It's just a matter of time till people were like, I'm going to turn that notification off.
Yeah, God, that's annoying.
Yeah. So at SkillPower, what we're fundamentally looking to do is give people the skill set where they can understand, plan for, and implement a new habit that either sticks, or if it doesn't stick, here's the key, Nick, they have some tools to figure out what went wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So they can adjust.
That's probably the real brilliant juice of it.
That's the juice. Don't blame yourself. Don't get in a bad attitude about it. But it's like, just pay again. This is the thing with SkillPower is we're not just like lose weight or build muscle. It's get healthier, right?
Yes.
What are you trying to do? And there's lots of content. Like I don't have videos of people doing burpees and fitness and everything. We've talked about that. They'll get those from you. Yes. I'm gonna give people the behavioral psychology skills to understand. Okay, I want to do a new habit. Is it realistic for me? Can I really do this? Because that's one of the first things. If it's not realistic, don't set yourself up for failure, right? Is it maybe this is a goal, but I need to do this. I need to do some stepping stones. So the outcome is really, how can I target a new behavior, actually learn about it and implement it in my life, and then adjust it as needed, so that we hit the promised land. I'm still doing it in a year. How can I be in control of creating my own habits?
Yes. And then giving that to businesses, they can also give that to their clients to help them. So it helps the client ultimately, but it also helps the business because they get a little stickiness because the client is seeing the results that they're supposed to be getting that they may not be getting because they're not taking care of what they need to outside of the gym or outside of wherever they get.
Yeah, that's you start it off. Yeah, we're talking about individuals, but you take anything, a gym, 24-hour fitness, core power yoga. I mean, how many people have said, well, I signed up for core power yoga. It didn't work, so I quit. Right. What do you mean it didn't work? Like, totally get it. The expectations you had didn't, materialize, but let's step back. Like, what were those expectations and what was the game plan here? And what was this the right fit for you, at all? But that aside, to your point, from the business standpoint, they're passionate about what they do. Everybody who's in health and fitness is passionate about what they do. And they bring new customers in. They want everybody to succeed.
That's right.
All the industry stats show a 50% churn rate in 6 months. And the crazy thing is most gyms and fitness studios their strategy for increasing that retention rate is to give away discounts, a promotion, which look, technically that is a behavioral psychology strategy from the advertising world, not from the the medical doctor's world.
Yes.
And it really just doesn't work. And so what we are looking to do is to say to the gyms and fitness studios, first off, stop giving everybody promotions to try and reduce this churn rate, because as a business, that's a terrible idea. You're giving away profit margin and incremental revenue and all this stuff. And you're devaluing the great promise that you're giving people. Yeah. Let's give people a behavior change program and train them on behavioral psychology, nutrition, and physiology, so that they can now be a customer of yours at that gym or fitness studio, and that they can be more successful going through all these stages of aligning with your program.
So tell me, if you don't mind, and I don't know if you're capable of doing this at this point, part of the SkillPower is something that you're working with the U.S. military. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you two things. One is, SkillPower has a contract with the United States Air Force, which is very interested in all these topics. It ladders up to, within the military, what's known as force readiness. So you started off this, conversation with some stats about the general public. 40% of the general public is obese, for example. Well, when we think about the military, I find everyone thinks that everyone in the military is a Navy SEAL, and that's not the case. The Navy SEALs are Navy SEAls. Everyone else is not a Navy SEAL. You got to keep in mind, people in the military, there are mechanics, there are nurses, there are accountants, right? The military is
big. They're just jobs.
Yeah, they're jobs.
They've got their own world.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the military, the people are shocked to hear this. The obesity rate is 20%. 1 in 5 people in the military are obese, right? So they, diabetes is going up, everything. So Nick, I have a surprise for you.
Cool.
I'm going to read to you an article that came out last week that ladders up to what we're talking about here. So it is from the Army. And the title of the article, and I'll send this to you. It went out, on the newswire last week. Title says, "The Army rolls out a new weapon, strategic napping."
Perfect.
Title of the article. Let me read you a sentence.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we all know the Army has had forever something called the Army Field Manual, which is their basic guidelines for basic, health and nutrition. Here's a couple sentences from this article. On Wednesday, the Army released new guidelines for optimal soldier performance, and they include strategic and aggressive napping. The recommendation is part of an overhaul of the Army's Physical Fitness Training Field Manual, which was rebranded this week as the FM 722 Holistic Health and Fitness Manual. No longer is the guide focused on entirely grueling physical challenges like long ruck marches and pull-ups. Now it has chapters on setting goals, visualizing success, spiritual readiness, and yes, the art of napping. And then one other piece here, the manual also has updates on running techniques to avoid injury, and a section on the importance of spirituality with entries on meditation, journaling, and how the act of serving others helps some soldiers realize the interconnectedness of all things and people. Let me just pause right there. That is the U.S. Army Field Manual that just got updated. It gets updated about every 6 to 8 years. And I remember the last update. You know why I remember it? The big news was they took sit-ups out of it in favor of planks and V-ups, because they studied it for 20 years and determined that sit-ups cause lower back pain. This update, they're adding spiritual connectedness.
This is comprehensive.
Meditation, napping, and they changed the name of it to the Holistic Health Manual. I mean, just pause and I saved this for you to get I'm not making this up.
Holy cow. I mean, they may want to rebrand that and not have it FM 722, but the Holistic Field Manual, I think that's what it's great, because isn't that what we're all trying to get to, is mindfulness, spirituality, making conscious decisions. I just had a doctor on at the start of this season, Dr. Shane Criato, who wrote basically the manual for peak sleep performance, and talking about taking naps and how effective they could be. And that to me, that's one trick that I always give to people when I give them kind of my little blueprint that I use to lose weight. When you're hungry, take a nap.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you're tired and your brain is searching for energy for a quick, cheap fix. It's like, give me something bad. Hey, you know what? Lay down. Now, here's what I wanted to know from the Army. Aggressive napping. How do you nap aggressively? But I
That
like
one I'm
this.
still on the, look, I have some humility. I'm still learning. Yeah, that one I'm still learning about.
Yeah.
Aggressive napping thing is that's one of the skills I'm still building.
Yeah. So you just got to go down and like be really angry when you're going down. I think it's just fantastic that they've shifted that far, because you can't outrun your way to health and fitness. You can't outwork out your way to good body mass and to healthy body composition. You can't do it. It has to be done on every other hour that you're spending throughout the day, besides the 40 minutes to 1 hour of physical fitness. And I've broken it down for my people before. I mean, the calories burnt in an hour of vigorous exercise is 0.086 times your body weight in kilograms. Mine's about 100. Mm-hmm. Times the number of minutes that you exercise. So for me, if I really get after it, that's 500 calories. That's like 2.5. That's like 4 tablespoons of peanut butter. And people get confused. They don't know what 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is. It's 1 scoop.
Yeah.
1 scoop is 2 tablespoons. That's 200 calories. So all that you do in an hour and all that exertion, you can't keep up with it if you're not being mindful when you're making your food choices. You can't do it.
Yeah. And it's really, this is where all the dots start to connect, with SkillPower, because, take this word mindfulness, right? Like I grew up, again, let's stereotype. I'm careful about stereotyping, but I can do it myself. I grew up in New Jersey. Yeah. New Jersey is like the capital of not mindfulness.
Tough guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't learn about mindfulness growing up, but what we now know, still, sounds like a term that's like, that's not for me if I'm, just the stereotype of like a hardcore athlete, right?
Yeah.
But now we know all the pros are doing it, everyone else doing it. Why are they doing it? I don't get it. Let's break it down. The number one goal of what mindfulness does is it reduces some stress, whatever. I don't care about stress. Yeah, but stress is cortisol, and it's cortisol going through your body. And we were talking about the prefrontal cortex 20 minutes ago. Cortisol shuts down the prefrontal cortex. That's what it does. It just turns it right on off. And so now, instead of Spock making your logical decisions for you, Homer Simpson's taken over again.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't understand, what's this mindfulness? I don't have time for that. Mindfulness, even if it's 10 minutes, you know what everybody thinks that mindfulness is meditating. You know what's amazing that has the exact same benefits as meditating? Praying.
Yeah.
Simple praying, old school praying. Yeah. Same thing as meditating. Journaling, singing, walking. You know what else is mindful? Conversation with an old friend. Your brain's doing the same thing as like meditating. It's decompressing, cortisol's going away, you're rebalancing things. And then when you make your decisions for the next 6 hours, instead of your prefrontal cortex shut down with that cortisol, it's lit up because you did something. It didn't have to be meditating. It could have been listening, on your ear pods to what you like and walking. And it de-stresses you, and then you're making better decisions for the next 6 hours. Yeah. So, that's how all these dots connect. And that's when we say willpower, this is why we're redefining it. Willpower is not, hey, normally I can bench press 150, but if I use willpower, I can get to 160. That's not what we're talking about. Willpower is, I said I was going to eat a healthy lunch every day. And I said, to our earlier example, I was going to drink my 4 glasses of water every day. And I've got these 200 micro decisions that are going on every day. I've got to align those micro decisions and get some control of them to align with that goal of eating a healthy lunch and everything. How do I get control of those micro decisions? Well, I got to sleep. I got to keep my stress in check. I got to have satiation, because you mentioned it earlier, but we could have a whole session about satiation and what happens when your blood sugar gets low, and then all your plans go out the window.
Oh yeah.
So all these dots start to connect. And what we are evangelizing is that part of this is being proactive. One of the things that's amazing, this, but a lot of people are just getting onto this, is that one of the most effective ways to lose weight or be healthy with your workout is eating a huge, healthy breakfast. Everyone says to me, how do I lose weight? I was like, first thing, eat a lot more nutritional food for breakfast.
It sets you up for the day.
Change the whole course of your day, because it changes your decision making for the day. People are like, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to skip breakfast. Guess what? Now I'm pigging out at lunch. Why? My whole brain collapsed.
Yep. Yeah, it is amazing, because we've gone kind of through that period where it was always the advice was start with a good balanced breakfast. Always start with a good balanced breakfast. And that was like 80s and 90s. And then it came into, you don't need breakfast, skip it. Intermittent fasting is everything you need to do. But you're right, it leads a lot of people to overeating if they're in a tight window. Say, I'm intermittent fasting and I've got a 4-hour eating window. Well, you're still consuming 3,000 calories within 4 hours. So did that 4-hour window didn't do you any good.
Yeah. Or when people are snacking late at night at 9 o'clock and they're wondering, why am I doing this? And this is what blows people's minds. A lot of it can be tracked to what you had for breakfast, but nobody makes that connection, right?
It's simple advice right there.
Yeah.
Have a good breakfast, be mindful. Even something as simple as when you're sitting in your car and you're driving home from work and you're about to come inside and your wife and kids are there, take a moment, turn the music off and breathe. Like,
I've got it's not my wife, but a close family member who does exactly that, has been doing that for years. Exactly that. Comes home, turns the car off, and she has 2 daughters and, teenagers and all the craziness. And she sits there for 2 or 3 minutes, just quiet and breathes. Someone had recommended it to her. She's a better mom.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how you can top off your energy in 2 to 3 minutes. Just breathe, just relax. Everything's fine. I had a day the other day, it was Saturday, and I don't go out a lot. And this was like the first time in months that I've been out at night. I just like being home and going to bed early and all that. And Jamie, my wife, is like, hey, we're going out tonight. Good. Okay. Well, we had a whole morning. I coach youth football. We went to Teddy's soccer game. We were kind of running around. I needed to get there's so much to do. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a nap. But then I realized, I was like, no. I can get filled back up just by being alone in my car. So I took it to go get gas, get a car wash. And it was like 30 minutes with me in a vacuum. It was like, just cleaning my car. And I came back and I was like, so full of energy again. I didn't need a nap. I had plenty of sleep the night before.
What's amazing, Nick, about the story you just explained, which aligns with what we're talking about, is, that's a result of you knowing yourself well.
Yeah.
And what does and doesn't work for you. And this is what will blow your mind about what the psychologists say about behavior change. There's a lot of different behavior change techniques, but we all say what works for one person doesn't work for another. But let's amp that up. What works for an individual at one part of the day might not work at another part of the day or a different day.
Yeah.
So again, this is the importance of like getting to know ourselves and getting to know what are the tools in my toolbox. You just referenced 2 tools. I want to be my best self later. I could take a nap, or I could go get just some time where both you were by yourself, but you were also like accomplishing a few things in your mind, like feeling productive too. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, you're right.
Off your to-do list too. So you're like, hey, now, I got some alone time, feel like myself. I got some stuff done, checked off my list. All right, now I can feel good changing gears, going out with my wife.
Exactly.
That's insightful there, right there from you.
Yeah, but that I will tell you, part of that understanding comes from going to a psychologist during my football career and having the understanding of myself that I am 50% extroverted. I love being with people half the time.
There you go.
And then I really enjoy being by myself the other half. And so if one of them is not getting fulfilled, I feel down. I feel low on energy. And so part of it is understanding it's like, I've been with people all morning, go away, or I'll go away. I don't care how it works. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out. And then when I come back, I'll be better.
Nailed it. Yeah. And that's, that's why, as you know, one of the first steps in SkillPower's curriculum is our own proprietary personality typology index. It tells you all these things, that people are kind of familiar with introvert, extrovert, but then we just go down that bunny hole of motivational styles, accountability styles, all these things. And yeah, as there are things everybody can learn. No, nobody was born flawed, not knowing these things. You just got to learn it like you learn anything else, like you learn how to bake a cake. There's ingredients that go into it. You got to put them in a certain order, and then you get an outcome. And that's what we're aiming to do.
And I think probably more importantly than learning other skills is learning who you are. And when you learn who you are, you can take that knowledge and apply it to everything.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, John, where can people learn more about this? When's it going to be ready for commercial rollout?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually rolling it out with our first commercial. Let's see, because we're in October now. I was thinking it's September, but we're rolling this out with our first commercial client in November. So in a month. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're working with things with the Air Force, and we're actually going to be doing a proper research study with the Air Force too. So all the results that SkillPower produces are going to be published in peer-reviewed research, so we can have that bar of credibility that is good for people. So really, in early next year, we'll start rolling out some direct-to-consumer things as well. So we're going to hit all tiers. We're going to be in with the military. We're going to be in like gyms and fitness studios and workplace wellness plans, and then we're going to have a direct-to-consumer option as well. So as we head into next year, we're going to be live.
All right, people, stay tuned. John Hartman, thank you for this. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thanks for having me on. Look forward to keeping the conversation going. And yeah, it's hopefully we can turn some of these numbers around, because it's also, just to put a final point on it. It really, in this divisive time, it's a patriotic thing, right? Like, right. If everybody in America tries to get like 10% more healthy,
yeah,
the country would save billions of dollars.
You'd be doing everybody a service if you take.
Forget if you're Democrat, Republican, whatever. If we all got a little healthier, the whole country would save a ton of money and be in a better position.
Yeah, and kind of on to that point, it doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. Nobody's going to take care of your health for you.
But you
have to take care of yourself. Nobody cares for you like you care for yourself.
Yep.
So get the skills necessary to increase the willpower and look for these. And I wish everybody the best of luck, but this is just a great product. I'm looking forward to seeing how it affects everyone and makes our country a better place. How about that? That's pretty awesome.
There you go. All right, man.
Thank you,
Nick, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Enjoy the fall, and I'll be praying for you in the winter.
Thanks, John. See you, brother.
All right, man. Talk soon. See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.